YouTube family. It's been a minute since I posted my last video. A lot has happened since my last video. I said I wasn't going to be emotional. I'm not going to cry. I'll be strong. Yeah, I lost my father. Well, I don't want to use the word loss. My father passed away. I don't even know how to, this is so ironic based on the last video that I posted about dealing with grief, right? In a sense, I feel like maybe he was trying to prepare me for his passing. I wanted to correct something. I was wrong about how old my grandmother was when she passed. My father's mother, she was 86, not 83. And one of my biggest concerns when my grandmother passed was that my father was going to feel like incomplete without her. And although he had a conversation with me about, accepting her death and, that he was okay, my grandmother died October 31st. Her funeral was November the 7th. My father passed November 12th. So 5 days after his mother was laid to rest, he passed. My father died at 7:01 p.m. this past Saturday. And I spoke with him on Friday twice. And we were just talking about the new facility that I was looking for him to go to after leaving the hospital. He really didn't want to leave the hospital. He felt like the hospital was best suited to care for him. He said they had everything he needed there and the food wasn't too bad. And I tried to explain to him, like, well, you can't stay in the hospital forever. Like, once you get better, they're gonna, you have to go to a long-term care facility. And we were just having conversation. He was concerned about me working so much. And he said it was okay if I wasn't able to come and see him. I told him that's not gonna happen. I wasn't feeling that great on Friday, and I was in the bed most of the day on Saturday, and a friend of mine had called. Actually, I had called a friend of mine's back because was supposed to have called her back, and I didn't. And I called her, and I had got up, and I made myself some tea. How did I forget this? Today's tea. I'm doing this in the daytime today. I'm trying not to lay around and be sad, because that's not what my father would want. Today I'm drinking chai French vanilla. It is very much still hot. I do have my journal here. I haven't journaled in a minute. Okay, I want to talk about losing your parents or a parent. Now, I will share this my father and I were not, I don't want to say that. I would say my father was not present for majority of my life. Even if he was there, he was dealing with some things. So he wasn't able to be a parent in the full capacity that I needed him to be. I later forgave him, and we developed a great relationship, and he became my best friend. So I will say I'm 42. The past 2 years, we have been extremely close. I literally would look to call my father almost every day. And if I couldn't reach him on his cell phone when he was in the hospital, I would call the nurse's station, call his room phone, and I just wanted to hear his voice to make sure he was okay. And of course, even if he was in pain, he would, try to crack a couple of jokes and try to ease my mind of and knowing that he was okay. And when I was sick and I couldn't visit him, that was the hardest thing for me. My father felt like he was a burden, and I had to tell him all the time, like, you are not a burden. I enjoy taking care of you. I was really enjoying finally getting to know him on a different level, without him being under the influence of anything. I was just able to enjoy him. It was a great feeling. I felt a little cheated. 2 years is definitely not enough time. But 2 years ago is when I can honestly say that I fully forgave and allowed him in my life. Like, I fully forgave, because I had told him about 20 years ago when he was in a coma that I had forgiven him because I wanted him to wake up. Now, it wasn't a lie. I had forgiven some things, but part of me was still holding on to some pain. So about 2 years ago, my father had contracted COVID. He got COVID. And he was in his long-term care facility, and I was not allowed to come there. And the nurses, this is when COVID first came about, the nurses were scared to go into the room to even bring him water. And I had the huge breakdown, and I'm on the phone, and I couldn't go there. They wouldn't allow me in. And I'm on the phone with them, and I'm begging them, if you're too afraid to go in his room and bring him water, just let me in. I'll give him the water. In that moment, and feeling like, oh my God, he's really getting ready to leave me, I let all my anger, everything, I completely forgave him. So a few hours after I had the call with the facility about the water situation, someone went in, brought him some water. My father mustered up some strength, and he called me, because a cousin of mine had was able to contact my father, because I had been calling his phone and he wasn't answering. So I was actually calling the facility's phone, arguing with them, and he called me and he said, "Baby, I'm okay. You know, he said, I got my water. He said, I'm okay. And I just told him that I love him. And then from that moment, yeah, honestly, from that moment, I just, he was my main concern, more so than myself, besides my daughter, and also my mother. Most of my family knows my mother is a cancer survivor. She's just getting over cancer. A few months ago was the end of her radiation. So I was juggling that with my father. So in having this, is not newfound love, but having this great abundance of love for him, and then being able to talk to him and openly express to him things. And we talked about a lot of stuff over the past 2 years. A lot of things he actually had no memory of, because my father had been in several comas, and he suffered from seizures and epilepsy. He, and the alcoholism, things of that nature. He didn't have a memory of a lot of things that he did or didn't do in raising me, or in me, growing up. So I shared some things. I was not out to hurt my father's feelings or make him feel inadequate as a parent. I just expressed some things and let him know that I truly forgave him, for not being present. And that was the truth. So, and him recently passing, I guess I would say, I know several people who have lost a father or lost their mother, and I always offer my condolence, because in my heart I truly felt, I don't even know how I would be able to manage without being able to communicate with my mother or my father. My mother is definitely my rock. My mother is my rock. My father, he was my sword. Even in his times of dysfunction or, issues, when there was a tough situation, my father would come through with a knife and a cane. He was known for this, actually. My father actually practiced Taekwondo for many years. So he was very skilled with his hands. And he also had a cane that he did not need the cane for any reason besides being cool. He was a sharp dresser in his days. He was a handsome man, kept that afro tight. I see why my mother married him. He was charismatic, a bunch of other things. But yes, he was truly my sword, because he had that cane and there was a knife inside that cane. And if there was an issue and he pulled up, he got that cane. And if that knife come out, somebody gonna get cut. So it's not funny. I wish harm on no one, but that was his way. That was his way. That was his way of protecting me and my brother, So back to hearing people talk about losing their parents. My cousin, she lost my aunt and she lost her father recently. Well, her mother passed about over 3 years ago now. It's been over 3 years. And her father recently passed in September. I was sick with COVID, so I wasn't able to attend the funeral. But I have so many people around me that can relate to how I'm feeling. So I've really gravitated towards those individuals because this is a pain that when your parent is sick and you know that they are suffering, part of you is relieved because they are no longer suffering. But part of you wants to be selfish and you want them back. That's the part that I am trying to contain, or I don't even know the proper word to use right now. That's the part I'm trying to work through. I don't want to be selfish. I've always known that my father loved me, but when he got sick in July and had to go to the hospital, I went to visit him, and for some reason he asked me to pass him his cell phone. Now, I've been around my father several years, and my name was always saved as Naisha. But this time, he asked me to pass him his phone, and it was on his call log, like, his last calls. And I was in his phone saved as my baby. I knew, you know your parents love you, but my father always gravitated towards my brother more. My brother is 4 years older than me, so my father and my brother had a bond way before I came along. And my father, even in his, days of being extremely sick, whenever he would recover, he would say, "Where's your brother? How's your brother?" And that's all. And a lot of the conversation, even on the phone, when we would talk, would be about my brother. And it's okay, it wasn't okay, because I did feel, I had my feelings about it. But this particular day, I realized, oh, he truly does love me. So, and him passing and us having this deep connection, it is so hard. I have sat on the phone for hours with different family members and hearing stories about my father and stories that I had never heard before. And I always considered myself, and I've said this actually in the family group chat, my father's side of the family. I always felt like the black sheep of that family. I'm not going to go into detail about it because I've now let that go. I just want happiness, peace, and love in my life, and I just want to focus on being the best version of myself that I can be, and just being positive. That's what I want to focus on. That's what I'm working towards. So, I had said in the family group chat, like, I've always felt like the black sheep of this family, but today I feel nothing but love, and that was true. They were so supportive, and everybody was calling me and telling me these stories and offering their condolences, and also offering their financial help towards his funeral, because I'm not about hiding anything financially. My father didn't have health insurance. I didn't have the financial means at the time of his passing to cover the full funeral costs. So my brother paid half, and I had to come up with my half, and my family pitched in. Everybody, my mother, who is his ex-wife, and her husband, everyone, like, everyone really showed up for him. Now, today I have to write his obituary. I've been putting it off. His funeral is coming up on the 26th. Tomorrow I have to go pick out his suit. I'm trying not to stay in the house today and be sad because anybody who knows my father knows he doesn't like people sitting around crying. But it's so hard. It's so hard being here and dealing with it. Hearing someone say they lost their parent and actually losing your parent is, now I have that direct experience, those direct emotions that are attached to it. And I would have given him my kidney, my lungs, my heart for him to live. Because he told me he didn't want to die. And I believed him, but I think he may have just said that for my sake. I don't know. He was alone when he passed. I never wanted that for him. He's been in a long-term care facility since I was probably about 20 years old. Maybe 25. Maybe 25. He's been in a long-term care facility. 42. So he's always been alone. Having phone calls and visits sometimes, but he was pretty much alone. I didn't want him to be alone anymore. That's why I tried to visit as much as I could, because I didn't want him to be alone anymore. This video has become very long. I'm sorry. I'm going to say to everyone, if your parents are still alive, no matter what issues you may have had with them, please forgive and just love them. It's not for them, it's for you. Because you're never gonna understand until they actually leave you the pain that it's gonna cause. And even though I forgave my father, that pain is still there. But forgive so you won't have any guilt. I don't have guilt. And I thank God for that. I don't have guilt. My father really tried to prepare me with my grandmother's passing. He said that death is a time when you should celebrate a person's life. not mourn them. So I don't even want to speak at his funeral because I don't know if I'm going to be strong enough to not be emotional and cry. And I know he would want me to be strong. Oh, I love that man. Oh, okay. Back to what I was saying. So for anyone whose parents are still alive, love on them. Love on them. Cherish them. Call them. Tell them you love them. Really quickly before I go. My father was a person that never liked to say, I love you. So, when he got through the COVID situation, I started saying it to him on the phone before we hung up. He would not say it back. This went on for about a month. And then finally, out of the blue, he started saying it back. And he made sure to tell me every time after that he loved me. Those are the things that I like to cherish and remember him by. Those are the things that bring me moments of joy and happiness. I do find myself wanting to call him. I don't even have any old voicemails. I just wanted to hear his voice. But he is forever in my heart. I have memories of him that will live on forever in me until I go. So, I hope everyone has a great day. And I wish you all nothing but love, peace, and happiness. Goodbye, YouTube.